Hey everyone, we've made it through another week. We've made it to another Friday, so let's celebrate with some design. Today, our buckets are loaded up with some roses, hydrangea. We've got some astilbe in here, some really pretty greens, so let's get to it. I am going to be making this week's bucket in one of these cute little pots that we have here in the shop. They have a very tapered bottom, so I am going to make sure I'm cutting all of my stems on the long side to make sure that they get all the way into that water. And if you're designing with a similar container, or if you've received a subscription from us this week with this container, you want to make sure you keep them filled with water, because as soon as it starts to drop down, that water goes pretty quick, and you'll find that some of your stems might end up out of water, so keep it topped off. All right, so we're starting with our chicken wire. I'm gonna take our chicken wire, roll it over itself, like we always do. I'm using quite a bit this time, just so I have lots of back and forth underneath my water level, so that it holds my flowers nicely. I'm gonna tuck this guy in, go all the way down into my container, make sure it's in there pretty solidly. Again, because it's a tapered container, it's a little tough to get it to stick. And you can always put a piece of tape across the top if it's popping out on you. But once you get the first couple of flowers in there, it will normally just kind of hold itself in, so you don't have to worry about that as much. All right, so I got that rounded part on top. It's squished down in there below the level of the top of my container. And I'm gonna start with my hydrangea. We've got these awesome emerald green hydrangea that we're gonna be using as a base. I'm gonna cut it on an angle, trim off the little pieces on the side. I wanna place it in so that it just covers a third of the top of our container. The next one, same thing. Cut it, same length. We're aiming for across through the chicken wire to around this area, keeping in mind that when you're looking at the arrangement from the top, you want your stems to come out radially, so kind of like spokes on a wheel. You don't want them to crisscross in weird ways. Everything should be crisscrossing in the center point of the vase, rather than coming across the front or the back, or possibly like going directly down in there over to one side. Everything wants to come out similar to spokes on a wheel. Okay. Last one, we have 3 of these. I'm gonna leave some of my greens on there just because I think they're pretty. If the greens are too flopsy or they're getting in the way, just trim them off so they don't impede the rest of the stems that you're adding into your arrangement. There we go. Tuck that in like so. Okay, this guy's sticking out a little bit, so I'm gonna gently remove him. This is part of the reason why we wanted to keep these stems nice and clean. So if you feel like you don't like where somebody is in your arrangement and you want to take it out of the arrangement, that chicken wire is going to stick on there and it'll pull your entire arrangement out. So careful when you place, make sure your stems are nice and clean, and in we go. All right, so it doesn't be perfectly covered, just sort of spread out over the top of the opening to your container, and there we go. All right, next we're going to put some greens in. We have this really cool bay laurel, or bay leaves actually, so when you crack the stems it actually smells like fresh bay leaf. It's awesome. So very fragrant and very pretty in color, so I'm going to give it a trim. And same way we would do with an Israeli ruscus or a lemon leaf. We're going to take off these bottom greens so we have a nice clean stem going into our container. And I'm going to go in between my hydrangea to start. Similarly, if you want to try to trim it right above one of these leaves here and get 2 placements out of it, that works also. So you can have one piece like this and then use the top piece as well, just to make some more crisscrosses underneath the hydrangea, give you a little bit more stability moving forward in your arrangement. So the more stems that are in there crisscrossing in that chicken wire, the easier it's going to hold everything at the end. So got a couple of those in. And it can go through the actual bloom of the hydrangea as well. I was just starting by sort of sectioning it out so that the hydrangea can remain a bit unbroken at the beginning there of our arrangement. These bay leaves smell so good. See what I'm doing right here. So you want some of them to come out from your arrangement and up, and some to come out and even. That way you'll get lots of coverage. And I'm going to use this one since it's branchy. I'm going to cut it so I have one clean piece to come out, and then also have a bushy piece at the bottom to go into my arrangement as well. Get as much bang for your buck as you can out of each of your stems. Get somewhat even coverage all around your arrangement. Just replace as you go if there's anybody that's in a weird spot. If you tug and it starts to pull your arrangement out, the chicken wire up, just kind of twist it as you go. And then you can twist it out a little bit easier, and then maybe go back and check yourself and make sure you got all of those little nubs off of your stem. Okay, so that's a little bit better there. You can see all of the greens all the way around the arrangement. Pretty evenly dispersed. You can let it be a little wild if you want. There we go. So much nice stuff blooming right now. I know it's been so rainy, but now would be a great time if you have anything cool in your yard that you want to add in, any foliage, to add that into your arrangement as well. I like to use, I have a lot of viburnum foliage in my yard. I have a lot of nandina foliage in my yard, and they're all great. And you put them in at this point just to kind of get a little bit more texture in your greens. After that, we are going to put in some carnations. Now, I know people are kind of like meh on carnations, but we've been getting these really cool novelty varieties in. So we've been really digging them. So this one is an antique peach, has a really cool color. These have like these kind of accentuated knobs on them as well. So you want to make sure that you're cleaning your stems again really well as you go down. And you don't want to cut at that little knobby area, or it won't drink up as much water. You want to cut somewhere on the stem in between where the leaves come off. Nice clean cut. Yeah, I'm just going to place one of those in like so. We got 5 of these in here. Now in order to open that up a little bit, you're going to squeeze it right underneath where petals come out and fluff it with your hand, and it'll go from a tight bud to an open bloom, which is very nice. Place these in around. So I'm gonna do one there and there, making sure they're still coming out radially from the center. So you got this little guy is a little bit on the tight side, so we're gonna have a squeeze and a fluff. And we got a nice open one. Getting those greens off so it doesn't get in my arrangement. Yeah, we got 3 of those going on. And another tight one. So we'll go around a couple of times so nice and open. And into our container. We have one here. Last one. I'm gonna sink this one down into the center. So we get that color moving through the arrangement, not just around the outsides. All right. Okay, so you can see all the way around the outside and then one tucked in the middle. Next, we have these awesome pink expression roses. We use these a lot here because they give the appearance of a garden rose. They are technically a garden rose, but they aren't one that has a really weak stem, so it is longer lasting than typical garden roses, and it has a pretty sturdy stem as well. If you know, like some other garden roses are very sort of weak stemmed and they don't hold up as well, sometimes you have to wire them. These are great because they have a nice sturdy stem, also a really pretty bloom. And you want to give it a little blow just to get it started. And then you can always give it a little bit of a roll as well, just to get it moving even more. These will open beautifully on their own, so you don't really have to force it, but it is always nice to get as much show as possible out of those blooms. And of course, any icky petals, you want to get those off. And some will be a little tighter than others. This one's got a great bloom on it. It has any pretty greens on there that are unblemished, you can go ahead and leave those on, as long as those greens don't go underneath your hydrangea. Trim that, give it a little bit of a roll. Oh, and my greens fell off. But look how pretty that is. All right, so I'm gonna put that in here. Again, I'm kind of moving at, I think I'm going in between my carnations. There we go. And do another one here. Trim off all of the little side bits. Trim it at an angle, give it a little bit of a roll to get it moving. Don't want to roll too aggressively, sometimes the heads pop off, so be gentle with your rolling. They will eventually open on their own anyway. Okay, we got 4 of these guys, so I am going in between the 4 lower level carnations that I had in there. Here we go, right in between. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you're looking at it from above, you'll see that it's starting to round out. You've got flowers in each of the spots going around. I'm gonna move this one and place it in a little bit more from the center. Whoops, get a little ugly leaf off of there. Oh, looking pretty good. Next, we're gonna put, and this, they're so pretty, I love them. Okay, so these are called etched salmon peonies. They are so gorgeous. I have these in my yard, but they didn't bloom this year. I guess because of the cold winter, the late freeze, but they are the prettiest color. And once they open, they hold that bloom, but then they lighten over time. Very similar to a coral charm peony. They're so pretty. So we have 2 of these in our bucket. Now I took off all of the greens on the stem, but I held on to them because if they have, that's a little bit long. If they have a long enough stem on them, you can use them in your arrangement, and then it makes a nice texture in there, right? So like, look how lovely that is. Now, this little nub might not be long enough to get you down all the way into the water. So maybe take these 2 guys off. Then you have a little hand piece like this. Again, trim it so there aren't any little knobs or nubs. And then you can tuck that right in there and use that in congress with your other foliage to give a little bit of a fill and a nice additional texture. Okay. Now when they come in, they have this, they're like very ball shaped. Don't pick any of the petals off the outside until they're open. If you do that, sometimes it'll disrupt the way that the center opens and they'll shed petals. So keep it intact, even if there's a blemish on it, just let it roll. And then when it's fully open, if you need to pick any back petals off, you can. We only got 2 of these. So I'm gonna put them back to back in my arrangement. They take up this space kind of in the middle, but I want them off to the side slightly so people can see them. So again, if it's like I'm looking at it from the top because I'm using it as a coffee table arrangement, you want to have interest up here. But if you're going to be sitting down low and you're going to be looking at it as, let's say, a centerpiece, like you want to have lots of interest down here. So make sure you're hitting all of those spots and you're not just concentrating on one. You end up with like a flat top arrangement, or you end up with a flat arrangement with everything around the outside. You got to think about it in 3 dimensions to get all the way around it. Okay. So I got these guys in. Oh, they're so gorgeous. Okay. And I got a couple more, this little greeny piece here. So it's like I use one over there. I'll use one over here. Just using that foliage up. Again, get as much a bang for your buck as you can. Yeah. All right. And then we have these awesome Leonora roses. They have an awesome smell. So, I mean, the peonies smell great. The roses smell great. I mean, I personally love what carnations smell too. So, I mean, it's just great fragrant arrangement. All of these ruffly petals are so pretty. Now, this is more of a traditional garden rose, so you will see that the neck is a little bit finer. Just be a little more careful with it. Placing it in your arrangement is a little bit thornier also, so make sure you're trimming those thorns off. These will continue to open as well. So don't feel like you need to be too aggressive getting them open, but if you want to give them a little blow and roll, go for it. It never hurts to get them started. One over here as well. And then have like a space in the center area here for one. Trimming it, just like how pretty is that, right? All right, tuck this in like so. And right in here, and more in the center. Jog some other pieces out so you see them. It's always a constant adjustment, you know, you're always playing with it. And at the very end, you might change stuff around a little bit more. Totally fine. Get it where you want it to be. Just be careful with them because they are a little bit more delicate than the other ones. And we don't want to break any stems. In fact, maybe I will bring this one down over here just to make it a little bit more interesting. Put the pink up a little, the white down. That gives you a little bit of white around the outside as well, so you don't have all of your white up in the center. You can see some of that pretty creamy Leonora rose at all the levels. Okay, there we go. Okay. And let's grab everybody even. We got a couple of ranunculus in the bucket. These again, they'll continue to open, so I'm not gonna be too aggressive with them, but I like to give them a little blow just to get them moving. You can use them with those little side pieces on if you want, or you can pull those off and use them separately. They will continue to open. They won't obviously get as large as the other bloom, but they will show a little bit of color, and I think they're nice to add just for some texture in your arrangement as well. So, you know, get those in there just to fill up some space and make your arrangement have a little more interest and movement. It's always a good thing. There. Some of the side pieces aren't quite long enough to make it to the water on their own, so unfortunately they'll have to go in a bud vase or something somewhere else. But the ones that are long enough, you can definitely use them in the arrangement. And definitely just get a little bit of movement, a little bit of fill with them. Now, the last thing we have in our bucket, this is another thing, like I love Astilbe. This time of year, mine hasn't bloomed yet, but it's this pretty feathery blush pink Astilbe. So if it also has a beautiful leaf on it, but a lot of times they're too small or they're too close to the top to be able to use them separately, unfortunately. So this one, I think we're gonna have to just pull this leaf off, but I use this in my arrangement. And this just like fills it in so pretty. Look, I mean, oh, I'm filming, sorry. So here we have another stem of Astilbe. Goes in like so, and you want to work with the natural shape of the stem. So if it goes off to the side like this, you don't want to use it across your arrangement or up out of your arrangement. You want to have it arcing in the direction that you want it to go. So for this, we're going to put it into the arrangement so it comes out, again, moving radially from the center of our arrangement. And this one does have a really nice long stem on its foliage that we can use. So I'm going to trim the stem like so you have a nice long stem on it. And then I'm going to tuck it into my arrangement between some of my other flowers to give a little bit of separation between these focal blooms and also to give a little bit of movement and texture in my arrangement, like so. Okay. You have 3 of these in your bucket. Some of them be like big and fluffy like this. You can always break those down into smaller pieces if you need to. So for this, I could totally take this top part here, take these 2 pieces off like so, and tuck this in on the side over here. So that's one placement out of that. Then we have this here. We could use this either as like 2 sort of together, or we could even probably cut it down and have 1 and then another for 3 smaller placements. So definitely use the entire stem so you get lots of fill out of each one. You get a little bit in the middle there if you can. Sometimes they have little bent tips. You can just pick those off a little bit if you need to. I have these little pieces that came off that are super cute too. You can use these in other bud vases that are nice, maybe with your short greens. I mean, how cute is that? All right, I'm gonna use these last little bits of greens I have hanging around. I have a little bit of peony foliage here. I'm gonna tuck in and I have this excellent piece of Astilbe foliage here that I'm gonna tuck into my arrangement as well. Kind of in, I have one over here, one over here. Just to keep it sort of balanced so you see all those textures throughout your arrangement instead of all in one place, you know. So then once you have all of your ingredients into your arrangement, I'm just gonna move everything in and out as you need. I like to turn it, obviously a lazy Susan, so helpful. But if you don't, just remember to keep turning your arrangement so you don't end up turning it at the end and end up surprised by what you see on the other side. There we go. All right. So once everybody is in there and adjusted, so you can see everyone, feel free to like take out the stems and put them back in if you need to. That's why we worked so hard at the beginning to clean up our stems nicely. And then there you go. That is everything from our bucket this week. As always, hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions, for sure, leave them in the comments below. We will get back to you to answer them. And follow along with us. We're here every Friday, well, most Fridays, doing the DIY buckets. And if you want to get in on it with us, click through on our website and look at how you can get in on the DIY subscription buckets for yourself. So you can design along at home and maybe make something totally different, do a different style in a different container, whatever you have, and share with us, you know, what you come up with and how you create with it, because we love to see it. We love to see it out there and all of the creativity. So until next Friday, happy designing.